So you've just moved in, or you're in the process of buying one of these, a house, and it's probably going to be the most expensive thing you'll ever own. And you'll be sharing it with the people who matter most to you. And so the question is, how are you going to take care of it? And the people living inside of it. Do you have a plan once you move in? Because chances are you've never owned one of these before. And that's why I'm making this video, to walk you around my house and physically show you all the things that you need to do as a new homeowner before and after you move in. Now, to make things really simple for you, I've put together a checklist that you can download and follow along as we go throughout this video. But we're first going to start off the outside of the home, then working our way to the inside, so that by the end of this video, you know exactly what you need to do before and after moving in. Now, the first thing on the list I want to mention is the gutters and downspouts. So I'm just in the backyard here. We have the gutters, we have the downspouts. And basically the main role here is for the gutters to collect the water, bring it to here, down the downspout, and go into the ground. Now, my house here has basically a drainage system underneath. You may have it where the downspout kicks out, and so we want to make sure that it kicks out properly, because the last thing you want to do is water to get at the foundation there and start eroding some of the dirt. But you may be asking, well, how do I get up there, right? How am I going to look up there? Now, if you have a tall ladder, that's very much something you can do. Or if you're like myself, who's a bit of a drone addict, we're going to fly the drone and check those out. And so we have the drone up there, and as we can see here, there's a bunch of debris in there. And the main thing you don't want to see is just weeds or shrubs growing out. And the big sign is when it rains heavily, is there water dripping out from over top? Is it not going down the spout properly? And that's the telltale sign. But obviously, you're going to want to go up there and make sure the gutters are clean. And if they're not, get up there and clean. The one thing you're going to want to do while you're up there on the roof, checking out the gutters, checking out the downspouts, making sure it's all clear, is check out the condition of the roof, looking at the vents, just the overall condition. How does it look? Now, what I will say is, if you've just bought a home, chances are you have a home inspection report. They would have gone up there, they would have done everything, so you don't have to go up there, but you do want to know how to get up there. So whether it's a ladder, whether it's using a drone, you're just going to want to know. Now, the next thing I want you to pay attention to is the flashing. And what is that, you ask? Well, you're going to see that on top of the windowsills, on top of any trim. And the main purpose of this is just to deflect the water so that it doesn't go towards the house, or it doesn't seep into the walls, start rotting things, deteriorating things. So check the condition of all the flashings, typically over the windows and any trim on your home. Make sure they're in good condition and that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Now, next one's going to be pest control. The best thing to do right off the bat is just call your local pest control and just see what the common issues are. But the last thing you want is pests, critters getting into things that they just shouldn't. And so what you can do is look around the house, look around the base of the house, make sure nothing's out of the ordinary. No way mice, critters can get into the home. Obviously, this is a deck, but what I will want to show you is, like, underneath here, right, is a soffit properly protecting you from any birds, any bees, or anything of that matter getting into your home and causing a problem. Now I want to talk about hose bibs, taps. There's a good chance you're going to have one or two or three around your house. And so I'm just in front of one here on my house, and there's going to be two different types of taps. One is this frost freeze one we have here. The other one is not. And the main difference is where the water gets shut off. And so the older style ones, the water gets shut off right here. But with the frost freeze one, the water gets shut off inside, because this is about a foot long. And the difference is so that back in the day, a lot of times you'd hear taps bursting in the wintertime because the water's right there. You know, there's not enough insulation here to really stop that water right here from freezing, so it expands and wrecks. Now, the other problem is people leave the hose hooked up and the tap turned on in the wintertime. That expands and it just causes problems, or these things break. And so my tip for you would be, get yourself some frost freeze ones, but more importantly, always disconnect your hose. That way you don't have any problems, or prevent the problems from any water freezing and wrecking your hose bibs. Now, the next one is going to be your exterior lighting, sensors, anything of that nature, because the last thing you want to do is go outside and your light's not working. So what am I looking at here? Well, just the lights in the back deck, the lights over there, you know, lights around the house, so that, you know, say come the nighttime, you got to go outside, you're not having any lighting issues. Now moving on to trash, recycling, and local services here. And so this is a big one because every city is gonna be a little bit different when it comes to what they wanna see in their garbage, what they wanna see in the recycling and compost, and even when it comes to the size of bins. And so these bins in my city were provided to me by the city. These ones here I had to go pick up. I actually had, when I first moved in here, bigger ones, and then they informed me like, hey, those are too big, we're not allowing that. And then even compost there. So the moral of the story here is just go talk to the city, see what they will allow, because everyone's a little bit different here. I'm actually just looking at one bin here. Looks like I got a recycling notice, and so this one probably got rejected. And there's nothing worse than like having a whole bunch of garbage and then, you know, it doesn't get picked up because of something in there that wasn't supposed to be in there. So make sure you talk to the city. While you're also talking to the city, it's not a bad idea just to see what the noise, the parking, all those kinds of permits, even just emergency numbers, because you just never know when you're going to need to talk to somebody in regards to something to do with the home or outside in the front there parking. And so go look into that as well, or just ask them for the local non-emergency and emergency numbers. Now that pretty much wraps it up for the outside of the home here. Obviously looking at the siding, looking at the overall conditioning, making sure nothing just seems out of the ordinary. And so now we're going to go into the inside of the home, talk about a whole bunch of other things. So let's get in there. Now the first thing when you walk inside the home is you're going to have locks in the doors, and it's important to get them rekeyed, the front, the side, whatever door is going to give access to your new home. And it's really easy. You have two options. You can either replace this lock entirely, like literally just a couple bolts in the back there, go to Home Depot, and there's, you know, hundreds to choose from. Or you can talk to a locksmith, which is what I did, and you get the cylinders rekeyed so that it's a different key altogether. And that's going to be the best option in my opinion, that way, because you just don't know who has access to this home before you. Could have, you know, how many people had keys to this home? And so you just want peace of mind that knowing that no one else can get into your home except whoever you've given keys to. So I'd recommend getting it rekeyed as soon as possible. Now just a little bit more on the locks, the access to the home is just, if you have any smart locks, keypad deadbolts, right, a little bit fancier, or an alarm panel pin, you're going to want to change that as soon as possible. And then even when it comes to the garage, if the property has a garage, maybe there's a garage door opener, maybe you have one of those apps on your phone where you can open up the garage, you're going to want to reset all of those, and so that again no one else has access to your garage. And then the last one being, when it comes to access, it's always a great idea just to create a lockout plan. I know pretty much every single house around here has some sort of key somewhere hidden, so that, like, let's say your kids or someone forgets the keys, or you just can't get into your house. Maybe your neighbor has your key. I know my neighbor has my key here. And so just think about something that, because the last thing you want to do is have to call up a locksmith or jump through a window just to get inside your home. Now, kind of on that same security trend topic here, we just have install and transfer alarms. So if you're going to want an alarm in your home, that's great. You're gonna have to go get that installed. But if there is one there existing and it's in their name, chances are you're gonna have to call the security company, get that transferred over, get your name in there, so that, you know, if anything were to happen, then it's going to your contact information, not theirs. And then when it comes to video, doorbell, cameras, all of that stuff, if they've left it behind, you're gonna have to tap into that system, maybe sign up for some subscription. Who knows exactly? Or maybe you have your own and you bought brand new stuff. But just something to think about when you're moving in. Now, the next thing, when you do set up your alarm system, you're gonna wanna set up some sort of guest codes, maybe one for your kids, one for your husband or wife, for whoever you want to have access to your home. Set that up. And then even when it comes to sharing, a lot of times these security systems have some sort of sharing option. So when somebody enters the home, you get notified on your smartphone or smart device. So if you wanna set that up, now's the time to do it. Now I wanna talk about fire detectors. Your house is gonna have them everywhere. As per the bylaws, they have to be in every single bedroom and even some of the most living areas as well. And so I have mine here. I just took it out a little bit. But what you want to do is there's going to be a test button on here. And it's going to be super loud, so I encourage you to cover your ears, but press it. And you can hear it throughout the rest of the house as well. So this is just testing to make sure everything works. Now the next thing is, I'm just going to take mine out here, but these have an expiry date on them as well. So what you want to do is find the expiry date. So mine says replaced by 2031, so I'm good. But if you aren't good, you can go pick these up, Home Depot. Super simple. Now the next thing you're gonna want in your kitchen, in your garage, is a fire extinguisher. Now you can go again, pick one up, local hardware store, just in case, so that if anything happens in the home or there's a small fire, whether it's an appliance or electrical or whatever, you have a means of stopping it. Now I'm going back outside because the next safety essential item I want you to test is going to be your garage door auto reverse. And what do I mean by that? Well, your garage door is going to have a safety mechanism when it's closing, that if anything trips in the way, it basically stops it and goes back up. So let's test that here. So I'm at the back here, I have my garage door open, and I just want you to notice there's two little eyes. One's on this side, and then one is right there. And the whole idea with this is that they see each other. Now, if I were to close my garage door, and while it's closing, well, the test you want to do is kick your leg in front of it, and it stops and goes back up. So that way, you know, let's say your kid goes under there or something happens, the door won't slam shut on them. It'll actually stop and go back up. So check that safety feature. Now, as I go back into the house and check on what I would say the most important thing, or one of the more important things when it comes to knowing where things are, is that you want to have a plan if anything happens, an escape route. Let's say the front door is blocked or both doors are blocked. What are you going to do in an emergency? So talk to your family, have a plan, and make that up. Now, like I mentioned, this is going to be one of the more important ones in my opinion, is locate, label, main water shutoff, individual fixture valves, gas shutoff, electrical main, and breakers. So let's start off with the first one, main water shutoff. Now I'm in my basement. Just gonna turn some lights on here, and this is my mechanical room. Put my iPad down there, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, but first, the water. And so every house is gonna be a little bit different. My house, the water's coming up inside the basement here, and there's a label here called main control valve keep open. Now, there's a reason why they say keep open, but this is where you shut off water to the entire house. Now, this house here has sprinklers, and so what you don't want to do is, like they say, keep it open, is turn this off so that, let's say you go away and you have fire sprinklers. Now there's a fire and the sprinklers don't have water, and so there's going to be another shut off here. So this is going towards my sprinklers. There's going to be one more here going off the side, and this is going to be my main water shut off here. And so you want to know where that is, just in case you have a massive leak or something that just uncontrollable, and you need to go turn the water off immediately. But now we want to talk about the furnace or the gas items, like the hot water tank, the furnace. Where is the gas shut off? Or maybe the oven, right? You're gonna have an oven that's a gas stove there. You're gonna want to know where to turn it off. And so you kind of have to look around to see a mess here, but all you can see here is I have a bunch of gas lines going to the hot water tank, going to the furnace. Now, the furnace is running right now, so I don't want to turn any of those off, but you want to follow the line upwards, and you can see here, that's going to be the main shutoff for my house right here. So if you have any gas related issues, that's what you're going to turn off. Obviously, your home's going to look a little bit different, but just literally go to your furnace, your hot water tank, you're going to see the gas lines there, and then kind of work your way back, and there's going to be a valve somewhere along the lines there that you can turn off, so make sure you locate that as well. Now, we've located the gas, we've located the water, and the last one we need to locate is the electrical panel. And so most cases it's going to be in your basement. It's in my basement right here. And so what you want to do is open it up, have a look inside, and just make sure you know where everything is. Good chance it's going to be labeled here. If it's not, go ahead and start labeling everything so that you know what to turn off in an emergency. And it's just important because if something happens in your home, something happens to an appliance that's just not turning off, or you have some sort of emergency issue that you need to turn the power off immediately, you know exactly where it is. Now, what I will say when it comes to testing these valves, testing everything, is that specifically the valves, some of them might be old, some of them might be rusty. And so if that's the case, you want to replace them so they're not going to be an issue. You know, let's say you do have an emergency and the valve is rusty on the water, the gas, the whatever, and now you can't turn it off. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And so once you know where everything is, that's great. But what if you're not around? What if you're not home and something happens? And so this is why it's important to also tell your spouse, tell your kids, tell your next door neighbor where things are, so that if something happens when you're not around, they can shut it off as well. Now, just a good tip, if you're going on holidays, you're going somewhere for a couple weeks, is turn off the main water. Now, what I will say is what I alluded to earlier is that if your house has a sprinkler system in it, don't turn that one off. Insurance company won't like you if something happens to your home. So make sure you turn off just the water to the, the taps, the appliances, whatever, and not turn off the water to the sprinkler system. Now, the next item on our list here is the attic, which is not always too fun to go into and sometimes pretty hard. But it's always going to be located on the top floor of your home. And so what you're going to want to look for is a little square or rectangle box. And mine's in the master bedroom here. And so this is what you're looking for. And this is going to give access to your attic. So let me just set up a ladder and hop on in and I'll show you what it looks like. Now I've got the panel open, and make sure you bring a light with you as well, because it's quite dark and quite warm in here. So I've changed my clothes to something a little bit more suitable for the attic. So this is what it looks like. Now obviously your attic may look a little bit different. I got this blown in insulation here. You may have bats, but the big thing is to look around and just see if you see anomalies, see if you see any leaks in the roof. So I'm gonna walk around here, have a look, and we'll see what we can find. Now I'm in the attic here, and the one thing you want to watch out for is where you're stepping, because you have drywall right there, and the last thing you want to do is step through here. And so let's just make our way over. And really what you're looking for is, like I say, leaks, pests, any kind of things that really shouldn't be there. And again, the big thing is make sure you watch where you're stepping. Now, kind of a crazy story. During the winter time of last year, I had a problem, and I didn't notice it until I was looking at the ceiling one day and noticed a bunch of stains starting to happen on the top of my ceiling. Now, I'm going to bend down here and just show you, but there's a vent right there. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. And that vent, when it was super windy and super snowy, was blowing snow into my attic and landing right there and creating a big pile of snow, which then would leak, or melt I should say, and go into my ceiling and start leaking. So I had to come up here and literally grab the snow, and I might drop some footage here because I think I do still have some. And so that's why it's important seasonally to come up here, see what's going on, as you could run into problems. As you can probably tell, I'm sweating a little bit here, so I'm gonna hop out of here. But it's always good to know how to get in here, be comfortable going in here and just checking things out. That way, if anything comes up, you have the confidence to do so. So I'm just in my kitchen, and there's a few things that I wanna show you when it comes to some of the appliances here in the fridge that you should be aware of. And so if you have water in your fridge like I do right here, there's gonna be a filter, a water filter. And so mine, some of them will be like up here. This is my ice maker right here, but mine right here is actually down here. And my fridge alarm, sends an alarm to me basically every 6 months. There's a red light that goes on the front screen to replace the filter. And so just so you see what they look like, this is one of them here. Nothing fancy, like just something off Amazon. But every 6 months, you're gonna want to change the filter so that you have clean drinking water here. And yeah, there's literally like a filter reset button here. But then the next one I want to show you here is the dishwasher. Now, the dishwasher in my case here, ooh, this one looks like it's a screen full. There's going to be a filter. Now, obviously, every dishwasher is going to look a little bit different, but there's a screen here, and even actually underneath here, I've taken this thing apart a few times actually. There's going to be just a screen that you basically collects all this gunk. And what you want to do is go in there every so often and clean it out. Sometimes they have like a little cartridge right here that you can just twist out and pull out and then clean. But there is going to be a filter or a screen in here that you're going to want to check on every so often. It just depends on how much, like, really just comes down to how much like pre-rinsing you do. Because if you pre-rinse the dishes a lot, then there won't be as much gunk in there. And then the last one I want to show you is the hood fan filter. Now, this one is actually pretty clean. I say that with a couple drips there, but like you can take these things out, soak them in, soap and water, hot soap and water, get all the grease out of them. But just something to keep in mind when it comes to your filter. Now, those are the big things that I would say in your kitchen that you want to be aware of. So make sure you do those as well. So the next things I want you to check on is the water system and plumbing. Right now I'm standing in front of my washer and dryer, and there's just a few things that I want you to keep in mind when looking at these things. And so the first one is just going to be your hoses. Now, a lot of people say the braided hoses are going to be the better hoses. These last longer, but ultimately, whatever kind of hose you have, the hope here is that you just inspect them. You have a look at them. Is there anything fraying? And then when it comes to the dryer, there's going to be a vent here. Now, mine just goes right to the outside. I've looked in here already, but you literally just what you want to do is detach it, make sure it's not clogged, make sure it's completely clean so that nothing clogs up here. And now, specifically with the dryer, it's pretty standard. Like, there's going to be a trap in here that collects all of the lint and just any kind of debris that comes out of your pants pockets or whatever. And so it's good practice to clean that thing every time that you use the dryer. But the one that I see that gets missed the most is the washer actually has a filter. Now, if you know that already, that's amazing. But if you don't, it's important to check this thing. I would say at least twice a month. And mine down here is right here. And there's a little filter. So what I'm going to do here is set the stand up. Let me just adjust the angle here. And what I have here is basically a bag and it's paper towel, because this could get messy. So really, so there's going to be a drain line. Again, every washer is going to probably be a little bit different here. But this drain line should allow you to drain the water out before you pull the filter out, so it's not such a big mess. Now this thing's just not coming out. Oh man, ow. That kind of hurt. So as you can see here, let me just set you up here. It's draining out, kind of stinks. But I use the bag method because to get a bowl or a plate or something down here, it's just kind of hard. So we'll let that drain here and I'll update you once it's done. So just to bring you back here, spilled a little bit of water here, as you can see. And I had to go drain this bag because there was actually a lot more water in there than I thought. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. There could be more water than what you have here. And so have this, we'll move the bag out of the way. I'm gonna grab some paper towel just ahead of time, just in case this filter has any water in it. But let's just take it out here. We are filming, so that's good. But let's just see what's all in here. And so this one isn't terrible. There's a little bit of gunk on here, and then as you can see there, let's just try and get the video camera in there. You can see that there's just a little bit of gunk in there, but nothing too crazy. But like I say, it's important to check this thing. Really just depending on how many times you do your laundry. So I'm gonna clean this up, get it looking pretty. I'm gonna clean inside there with just a little bit of rag so that it seals up properly. And that's pretty much it. All right, so now I got the filter all cleaned up. I've cleaned the inside there. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit there so you can see it. And now it's just time to put this thing back in. Now, this filter does have an index on here. Mine does anyways, so it's only gonna go in one way. And so if yours has that as well, just keep that in mind when putting it in. I can see in here that there's a little slot where that thing would go in. So push that all the way in, make it nice and tight. And voila. Now obviously there's gonna be a little plug on here, so make sure that goes back on. That sucker hurt taking off, but that's in. And then I got a little clip up here that sits in, and all done. Now before you walk away and say it's all good, is just run a quick cycle, maybe keep the flap open just so you can see if any water's leaking in there, because the last thing you want to do is not verify and then run a cycle, go outside or go do some errands, and then that thing leak a whole bunch of water all over your laundry area. Wouldn't be good. Now the next one I want you to think about is the drains and test the drains. Now again, Your home inspector should have tested these when he did it, but if they didn't, and you walk in there at home and all of a sudden the drain's not draining properly or it's really slow, chances are you got a clog. And so the easiest way to check that is literally turn the tap on, make sure the plunger's open or out, and is the water filling up faster than it can leak? And so right now, as you can see here, the drain, there's no clogs. Maybe there's something in there, but there's nothing clogging it from allowing the water to get out. And you do the exact same thing in the tub. Now, if you had a clog or this thing was filling up faster than it can leave, what you want to buy is one of these things. Now you can buy it at Canadian Tire, Home Depot, whatever. And literally you shove this thing down in here. Now it's probably gonna be nasty, so it takes a little bit of finessing. But you shove it in there and you pull it out, and the barbs on here are gonna grab any hair or debris in there, and most of the time it's hair. And you won't see it too often in the sinks, more so in the bathtubs that have these types of problems. And what you do is just shove it in there, pull it out, shove it in there, pull it out. It's kind of nasty, so you're gonna want gloves of some sort. And then hopefully by you shoving it in, shoving it out, you'll get all of the hair, all of the debris out. And then when you turn the sink on, it now drains properly. And so again, sinks, bathtubs, anything with a drain, you want to shove one of these down here, clean it out, and then, check it again and see if it drains properly, because that's going to be your easiest thing to do. Now, when you're also in the bathroom, what I want you to do is test these plugs. It's a GFCI plug, and it basically has its own breaker in here. And the easiest thing to do is literally just press the test button on here. And as you can see, it says reset test. And actually down here, it says test monthly. And it also says replace if flashing. Basically means there's some sort of fault happening in there, but what you can do is literally just press the test button. You see the red light. It's not flashing, so we know it's good. You can reset it, and we're good to go. And basically every single bathroom should have one of those stub plugs in there that should be tested, well, according to that plug, monthly, but it's just good to test them and make sure they function properly. Now, the last thing to test on the water and just plumbing is gonna be the sump pump or the backwater valve. And my house, I don't have one, but they're always gonna be in the basement. You're gonna see a little circular thing with a pump and basically an ejection line going outside the building. And it's just good to test it every 6 to 12 months. That way you know it works and function properly, then you can sleep well at night knowing that if anything were to happen catastrophically as far as water-wise, you're good to go. Now I'm in my basement again, and I wanna talk about the furnace, the HVAC system and the indoor air. And it's really important that you change your filters in your furnace. Yes, if you didn't know, there's filters in your furnace. And so I'm gonna show you an old one here that I actually kept around. And it's pretty bad, but it wasn't near as bad as the one that I completely forgot. So if you're not sure what it looks like, that's what a filter looks like. And this is your furnace, or my furnace, I should say. And there's gonna be air that's coming into the home. A lot of times they grab fresh air and air from out the house and then recirculate it back into your furnace. And then they, looking at all the pipes here, they display it or displace it all throughout the home. Now, what you're gonna want to find is this right here. And it's basically the joint between the air that comes in, again, or air that comes from out the house before it hits in the furnace. And this thing comes off, and there's another filter in here. And I'm actually kind of scared to pull this out because I probably should replace this. Let me just try to get this thing out. Let's see what we got going on here. So it's actually not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, because I just replaced this a couple months ago. I think it was 2 months ago. And so that's what the filter looks like. It goes in that slot right there, and it filters the air before it goes in the furnace. And it's just really good maintenance to replace this more often than not, because these are like 10 to 20 bucks a piece. You could probably get it cheaper if you buy it in bulk. But what I will say is that these things do have an airflow direction. And so really the easiest way to think about it is that like air is coming into the furnace. And so air is always going into the furnace this way, at least from this filter standpoint. And so what you want to do is that the air is going into the furnace. So I always point the arrow to the furnace, because that's exactly the way the air is going. And just, come on. There we go. It's all the way in. Make sure this thing is in properly. Away you go. Now what I will say is that there's gonna be a furnace switch here. I did turn this off prior so that there was no air moving throughout the furnace there. So if you have some sort of air furnace off button, turn that off before you work on it. It's just good practice, but it's also really handy so that you're not fighting the air, getting sucked through while you're trying to change the filter. Because what could happen is you could have a whole bunch of junk on your filter. You're pulling on it, and then you pull on it, pushes the gunk off the filter and goes into your furnace, and then could cause a whole bunch of problems. So best case practice is just turn the furnace off before working on your furnace. And then what I almost forgot to say is make sure you turn your furnace back on, because that would suck to be the dead of winter and you're like, why is my house so cold? Turn your furnace back on. Now, another thing I will mention about the furnace is it's not a bad idea just to set it up on some sort of service schedule, whether that's 1 year, 2 year, right? Just get it serviced, not wait until something wrecks or breaks, because that can be more expensive. And it's just good practice. Now, the next couple, I thought I'd just pop a quick squat here and rattle off a couple of these items here, is because it's to do with deep clean, paint, quick wins, and deep clean while empty, floors, baseboards, cabinets, vents, window tracks. It really is the easiest to clean a home when it's completely empty. There's no question about it. And so it's something to consider when moving in, just food for thought. And the next one is clean all air ducts, vents, especially if the previous owner had pets or if anyone in your home or household has allergies, because you just don't know what's in those vents, how dirty they are. Is there, a dead mouse in there, for crying out loud? Who knows? There could be something in there. So it's not a bad idea if you have allergies, it's just to completely clean the home, and that includes all of the ducts. So maybe you talk to an HVAC company, see if they know anybody, or maybe themselves actually do the cleaning. It's not a bad idea to think about. And then painting the walls, ceilings, trims for the fastest impact. Again, paint just goes a long ways when it comes to just making an area look new, clean, enjoyable. And so again, the house is empty. It is the best time to do any of these things. So if you're thinking about painting the place anyways in a couple months to a year, it may not be a bad idea just to think about it right now. Then along with that is switching out the switches, outlet covers, door stops, registers. If you're going through all this work to paint everything, clean everything, make it look nice, it may not be a bad idea just to swap out the covers and just complete that fresh look. Now, the next segment I want to talk about is planning and paperwork, and it's really just me talking to you, sitting down, going over a bunch of these items here. Not so much showing you around the house, so I just wanted to sit down and let's get into it right away here. So utilities and transfer setup. This seems obvious, but again, you just want to have this all set up here. Power, gas, water, trash, internet cable, just things to think about. Maybe you have other things that you want to set up prior to moving up so that you don't realize or have a problem down the road. And then confirm billing dates, set up paperless, notifications. Those are all things that are super handy. For the most part, they all are paperless, but we just want to make sure that everything is set up properly so that you're not missing anything, or you forget to see a bill come in and then all of a sudden you're getting charged an overcharge or a late charge. So keep that in mind. And the next one is address changes and mail forwarding. So a lot of this is going to happen before you move in here. And so what we have here is set up mail forwarding, update address with bank, credit cards, employer payroll, insurance or insurers, subscriptions. This is just some of the items. I imagine there's other things you got to think about, but this is just to get the wheels turning about, okay, what do I currently have set up that's coming to my current address? Okay, that needs to be transferred over so that you don't cease to keep getting those, or, maybe a package gets sent to the old address and you got to go pick it up and it's just a pain in the butt. Obviously, one is going to be update the driver's license, vehicle registration, tax agency records. And so all of the stuff that you have your address on, you're going to want to update for legal, government, for your own personal use, just so that you know. And then change address for emergency services. Again, we've kind of alluded to that in some of the security stuff, making sure that everything's updated so that, if there was an emergency, well, they're coming to this address, not the other one. Next one is insurance and warranty policy. So when it comes to insurance, we want you to read your home policy, deductibles, exclusions, sewer backup, overland water, overland flood, earthquake, all of that stuff. Again, you may not have some of these items on your insurance policy, but it's just good to know what you have so that if something were to happen, what's covered. Now, obviously, your insurance provider or your insurance broker should explain all these, but it's up to you to really understand what this all means and what coverage you actually have so that if you do have a problem in your house going forward, you know what number to call, you know the process, and really you just want to be fully informed so that you can make the best decision. Now, the next one is update coverage after renos and major purchases. If you do a whole bunch of renovations and you're only insured for X, and then your house burns down, let's say, and you put in $300,000 and your house is now worth more, your coverage is only X. Now, I'm not an insurance broker or insurance specialist. I get that. But you want to make sure you have the proper coverage if you do change anything on the property. Now, review your home warranty, if any. Store contact info and terms where you'll need them. Now, if you buy an older home, obviously there's going to be no warranty. If you're buying a brand new home, well, then there's going to be a warranty and there's going to be a warranty package, and you're going to want to, look into that so you know what's all covered. Now, if you're buying a couple-year new home, there's still going to be some sort of warranty on the home. So you got to figure that out. So if you're buying a home that's a little bit newer, look into the warranty, see what's out there. Maybe there isn't, but chances are there could be something that you want to look into until you're fully informed of what is covered under warranty. So if something were to happen, you're not fixing it yourself, but rather you're like, hey, warranty company or builder, whoever built it, like, you need to fix this. So keep that in mind. And then when it comes to the paperwork and records, I just put one labeled binders, safe, closing docs, title, survey, permits, warranties, appliance manuals, inspection report. You just want all of that in one handy spot. Now, I say a binder. Obviously, it can be online in this day and age. You got technology, but sometimes it's just nice to have like a little Tupperware container. You got all the documents, you got all the appliance manuals, you just got everything. So if anything were to happen, or you're wondering something, you just have it all in one spot. Now, the next one is to do with renovations, cost, time, and permits. Now, I say here, wait 3 to 6 months before major layout or home changes. And it's really because you may have one vision when you've seen the home, but it's not until you live in the home where you get an idea of how you would like to change the home. Because you may have one idea once you've seen the home 1 or 2 times or 3 times before you bought it. But once you've moved in, you've gone adjusted to living there, your wants and needs may change. And so I always say is just wait a little bit until you get a full picture of like, okay, this is actually not that big of a deal. Or you know what, this is actually way bigger of a deal. We need to change this like this, but then add this, this, and this because of, the things you learn while moving or while living in there. And the next one being is prioritize health, safety envelope before cosmetics. It kind of seems straightforward, but there's no sense painting the outside when you have, a bathroom that's super moldy and needs repairs. Now, again, obviously you're going to know that going into the property because you're going to have a home inspection done. But just fix those things first. Don't worry about the cosmetics because you want your health and safety to be priority number 1. So I just put it on the list there just as a reminder. And then verify permits, license trades, pad budget, and timeline. Now, this is when it comes to like renovations, right? A builder may come to you or a renovations guy may come to you, and who knows, maybe they're not pulling permits. Maybe they are pulling permits. Maybe they're just Joe Blow off the side of the street. No offense to anyone whose name's Joe, just saying. License trades, a timeline, a budget. These are all great things just to think about before doing any renovations in your home, because you may get into the project and realize that the permits delay you a couple months, or they cost more than you thought. And so I would just say hopefully you know someone who's in the renovation business that can just shoot it to you straight and be like, hey, this is what happens typically. This is what the cost that we see. That way you're not going into it blind and you regret doing it because now you have a half-finished project because you don't have the funds to finish it. Now, the next one is maintenance plan and calendar, meaning putting stuff in your calendar so that you don't forget about it. And I truly believe that this is one of the most important ones when owning a home. You have this property that is most likely going to be the most expensive thing you ever own. And just like your car, where you go get oil changes or you rotate the tires or you change the tires, it's just as important to have something in place so that you remind yourself, oh, I got to change the furnace filter. Or, oh, I got to change the fridge filter. Or, oh, I should clean the gutters. Or, oh, I should do X, Y, and Z. And so what I want you to do is build yourself a 1, 3, 5-year roadmap. Use the inspection report, which the inspector got you. So if you got an inspection report when you looked at this property, chances are it's going to have a big breakdown of everything, the life expectancy of everything, where things are at. And he's probably going to highlight some things that should be repaired as soon as you move in. Kind of earlier to what I pointed there is, prioritize the safety and health things. And he's most likely going to point it out, or at least all the home inspectors that I work with, they do a great job of pointing out things that you should do as soon as you move in if you move forward with this property. And so that's going to be one of them. But then expectancy of roof, appliances, furnace, hot water tank. You just want to know, say the hot water tank, the life expectancy is usually about 8 years and you're 5-year mark. And so you can plan, okay, well, in 3 years from now, I'm going to need a hot water tank. It's going to cost me $500 to install and the tank's going to be, $750. So what you do is you build a roadmap so that when it comes time to replace that thing, again, doesn't say you have to, maybe you ride it out and you just see what happens. But if you plan to do preventative maintenance where, okay, 8 years is up, I've now saved up a bunch of money because I knew 3 years from now, I'm going to have to replace that hot water tank. And so that's the mindset I want you to get into, because the last thing you want to do is like, well, shoot, the roof is leaking. Well, I knew it was kind of older when I moved in, but I didn't plan a budget ahead of time. So now I'm stuck. Like maybe you're dipping into your emergency funds, or maybe you're taking a line of credit to do the renovations because you have to, because it's the dead of winter and your roof is leaking. You just don't want those problems. So please build out a roadmap where everything is. I did attach one here. I'll probably put it on the screen here just so that you can see it. Very basic, but at least gives you an idea where you can fill out everything and make a mental note that, hey, come 2020, whatever, I have to replace the hot water tank, or come 2020, whatever, I got to replace the furnace, just so that you're mentally aware and you're saving money up ahead of time. Now, the next one is going to be seasonal tasks. Again, it's going to be in this document that I've attached for you guys. So you can just literally just download it and, use it as a reference point. So clean the gutters, roof check, caulking, filter changes, pest sweep. You just want to have a good walkthrough, preventative maintenance, check the gutters, look at the roof. Maybe you caulk up some of the siding or, the trim that's on the siding, and then paint it over so no water gets in there and just, early, your place starts rotting early. And that's the last thing you want to do. And then filter changes, again, that's going to be your furnace, your fridge, maybe you're cleaning out your dishwasher one, washer and dryer. So the washer one, having some sort of acknowledgement like, hey, in my calendar, it says I got to check the dishwasher. Or, hey, in my calendar, it says I got to check the washer, the clothes washer, make sure that thing's cleaned. Now, the next one is tracking the model and serial number and service dates. Now, this is going to apply to all your major appliances, your major hot water tank, your furnace, just so that you know, hey, my furnace was last serviced a year ago. Maybe I should get it serviced this year. And so you just want to build out some sort of Excel spreadsheet or some sort of document so that you just know where everything's at in your home. And the last one here is the 3 to 6 month reality check budget before big purchases to track the true cost of home ownership is what it should say. And I say this because the last thing you want to do is move into the property. You buy the furniture, you buy the big TV, you buy a whole bunch of things, or maybe you do a whole bunch of renovations and you just, I wouldn't say blow the budget, but you spend a lot of money. Yes, you should know how much your home is going to cost you moving in. Hopefully your realtor, or hopefully the mortgage person, or hopefully somebody told you like, hey, you have property taxes, you have insurance, you have hydro, you have gas, you have utilities, you have X, Y, Z, ABC when it comes to the cost of a home. And now you're like, wow, okay, I didn't realize it was this expensive. And then you just spent a whole bunch of money on things you probably wouldn't have if you would have known how much your house actually cost you over a 3 to 6, maybe even 12-month period. Because that's really like depending how you do your property taxes, your home insurance, there's going to be a whole bunch of things that could come up. And you're like, okay, how am I going to pay for this $4,000 property tax bill if you never had a property tax bill before? Now, again, hopefully somebody's told you. And if not, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you now, there's going to be home expenses that you may just not know about. So keep that in mind before spending any kind of big purchases on anything. Now I'm just walking outside here because the last one here that I want you to do is go talk to your neighbors. It may be scary, it may be overwhelming. You don't have to do it right away because obviously a lot has happened once you've moved in. But go talk to your neighbors, exchange your contact information, because at the end of the day, you're doing life with these people, whether you like it or not, so you might as well get along with them. But if you found this helpful, or if I missed anything that you think would be a good addition to what someone should know before or after moving into a home, put in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback, what you think. But as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.